Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Sukhi Learn. My name is Sukhjinder Singh and you can call me Sukhi. Today we are going to take a use case and build something called as AHT Calculator. So today we are going to build an AHT calculator, and this is a use case related to the call center. Now AHT, which is average handling time, is a very important and a critical performance parameter in the call center industry. So it represents the time taken to handle a particular call. So that is what average handling time is all about. And we are going to use Excel advanced package in order to achieve this particular task in Automation Anywhere. And before we get started in, in the activity of building the bot, before we start doing that, we'll first slightly understand what exactly AHT is all about. So let's get started. All right, then quickly let's take an example and understand what is AHT. Now we are taking an example where we have a customer who is facing issues with the services and is calling the call center. And we have a call center agent who is going to assist the customer. They are talking to each other over a toll-free line. Now, the first thing that the agent will ask is, how can I help you? And the customer then reports the issue. The customer is not able to use the internet. Now, the agent is asking for customer's ID. Customer provides the ID. Now they're talking to each other, and now there is a need for the agent to go ahead and use the ID and put that ID into a system so that the agent can check if the account is active and check things like, are all the payments clear? Is there anything due? And all those things. Now, this activity of putting the ID in the system, and the system will take a few seconds to pull up all the details. Now, once the details comes on the system, I as an agent that is on my screen, once the details comes on my screen, I as an agent will go ahead and review those details and take certain decisions on what should I do to help the customer. So in this situation, I will go ahead and keep the customer on hold. So I will request the customer, can I keep you on hold while I fetch the information? The customer agrees, and I will keep the customer on hold. Now, after reviewing the information that is there on my screen based on the customer ID, the outcome is that I will need to schedule an appointment with a technician. That means I will have to schedule a technician visit to the customer's house so that the technician can go and check if there is any hardware fault or there's something wrong with the wire or anything like that. And that's what the agent then informs the customer, that this is what needs to be done, and then the customer agrees. Now once the conversation is over, that's about it. So customer got the answer that yes. So as a customer, I will know that there will be someone who will be visiting my place to fix this issue. The call is over. However, it is over for the customer. Customer goes, hangs up the call, and continues with his daily routine, whatever the customer is doing. For agent, it's not yet over. Why? Now, there's one activity which is called as tagging, and which is nothing but logging the information or logging the conversation that you just had on the call. So that is one activity that the agent needs to do. Now, this is a very standard activity which is across the call centers. Every call center will have a call logging mechanism or call tagging mechanism where the details like which customer called in, what was the issue reported by the customer, and what was the solution provided by the agent. These are basic details which are documented in the system. And also then you have a section where you can update comments which are relevant to the conversation. Now, apart from that, in this kind of a scenario, there's one more activity that this agent will have to perform. That is scheduling an appointment with the technician or allocating a technician to the customer's uh, request. Now, that is the second activity involved in this scenario. So in this scenario, also the agent will have to use relevant system to go ahead and assign a technician to the customer, right? And once these activities are over, only then the agent will be available to take the next call. So if I take a summary of this entire scenario, the call comes in, the agent picks up the call, then is talking to the customer, and then to fetch certain details which are relevant to the query of the customer, I as an agent or the agent is keeping the customer on hold, and then I provide the relevant information to the customer and the call is over. However, there are certain follow-up activities like tagging the calls and scheduling the technician for the customer, which I'm doing after the call is over. Once I'm done with my follow-up activities, only then I am available to take the next call, right? So there are three basic behaviors demonstrated by the agent on this call. First is talk. I'm talking to the agent is talking to the customer. If I'm the agent, I'm talking to the customer about the issue and so on and so forth, and I'm talking and informing the customer about what is the best solution that I can provide. The other behavior demonstrated is hold. In order to fetch the details from the system, I kept the customer on hold, where the customer is either listening to some music or some advertisements which are related to the organization that the customer is calling. And finally, when the call is over, when the talking and then the call is disconnected, I'm doing a wrap up of the call, or it is also called as after call work. Things like tagging the call, scheduling appointments, or scheduling any follow actions related to the call. All those activities are done on wrap or after call work, or it's called as after call work. And this is the basic three behaviors which are demonstrated when I'm handling a call. And the AHT is built off these three components. So this is what it is. Average handling time is nothing but the time that is spent, on talking to the customer, the time that is spent on hold while you're there on the call, and the time that you spend on wrapping up the call once you finish the conversation. These three components come together and make one critical parameter, which is average handling time, which is AHT. All right, so now that we have understood the basic concept of AHT, now I will show you the exact requirement that we have. So there will be a file placed inside the input folder, which will have some raw data which is related to AHT. Our job is to open that file, perform the AHT related calculations, save the file in the output folder once the calculations are completed. So how does the file look like? Let me show you. This is how it will look like. It will be named as raw data and with the date. Now let us see the file and let us see what all columns are available in that particular file. Now this is how the file looks like. Now there is an employee ID. It has a column of total inbound calls, total calls taken, the time spent on talking to the customer, the time spent on the hold code, and the time spent on the after call work or wrap code. Now this time is in seconds, so we have to calculate the AHT according to that. So whatever final outcome is what we are going to get will be AHT in seconds. Now to calculate AHT in seconds, I will have to first calculate the average talk time, then I will have to calculate the average hold time, and then total wrap time, and then I will sum it up and I will get my AHT. Now if I was going to do this manually, what I will do is first I will open the file. Say I'll give a column name average talk time, I'll say average hold time, average wrap time, and then I'll say AHT. So formula is simple. I will say this divided by the inbound calls. I'll keep that as constant, and then I will sum it up. Once I'm done with this, I will do this, and this is how I'll get the AHT. So generally we do not measure AHT in decimals, so I will just remove the decimals. This is my file. Now the same activity needs to be done by the bot. That's the objective. All right, so I will just delete what I just added. Save the file, close it. And here it is, automation anywhere. Here say I will click here to create a new bot. I'll call it as AHT Calculator. Right, so I'll keep it as dual, and we would like to, we'll be performing Excel related functions which are available in this package that I've mentioned, Excel Advanced package. So you can see there's so many actions available which you can use to perform different various kind of tasks which are related to Excel. So I will just close this for a moment, and there's a thing which is called a step. It's a very good habit to first note down the steps that you want to perform. So the first thing that I want to do is I would like to open the Excel file and add the required headers over there. So I will just name it as open the file and add the required headers. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and start calculating the AHT. So these are only two steps. Sorry. Let me delete this. I got it wrong here. Just close this. Got this also wrong. Now I will get it right. Okay. Step 2 is to calculate the AHT. And inside these steps, there might be some other steps where I will first calculate the talk time and so on and so forth. So we'll get back to that. So first we will just create a basic structure. And the last step is to move the file to the output folder. Right? Okay, so now first step here shows I have to open the file. Sorry. So say open, and I want to open Excel file. So this is the command which I will be using. It says Excel Advanced Open, and my file is residing on my laptop, so I will use this option as desktop and say click on browse. This is where the file is. I will select the file, say save. Now I want to add the headers after opening the file, hence I will not select this option over here which says sheet contains header, and I will open it in the read write mode. It is always a good habit to say load add-ins, and I will create a local session variable. So whenever you are opening an Excel sheet, you will have to create a session variable. So in this case, we will only create from the category of local session. So I will say, I will name it as raw data. You can give any name, any relevant name of your choice. So I'm giving it as raw data. So say save here. Now once I open the file, I have to go ahead and change the headers. Now before I do that, I will just run the bot and see if it is opening it correctly. Right? So let's see what happens when I run the bot. So there's only one action which is opening the file, so it should open the file. There you go, the file is open. Now the next action is that in this cell I'm required to put average TT, here I'm required to put average HT, and here I'm required to put average WT, and here I'm required to put AHT. Now it's FGHI, so F1, G1, H1, I1. So I have to give each cell which I just mentioned in the sequence, I have to give them the required headers. So for that, there's an action available in Excel Advanced. So let me try this now. Excel. I want to set a value. So logically set. So there should be something which says set. Here we are. So there's this action available, and the tooltip also is there to help you out in understanding what exactly this action actually does. So I want to set cell. Uh, so I will just double click on that. And I will say specific cell. So F1. So F1 should be average TT. The session name that we have given is raw data. Save. Then again I will say set cell. Again specific G1 average HT. This is raw data. We have to repeat this task 4 times. H1 average wrap time raw data. You can also copy paste an action. Copy, that is Control C, Control V, you get it here. Just make it I, and this is the last column that I need to add, which is AHT, so raw data. Now once I've added all the columns, I will save and close the file. Now say, or rather I would just follow this pattern of here. I would need to close the file. So see, it's in alphabetical order. So close. It says save changes when closing. Okay. So now let's check if it is doing that correctly. And ideally these are the instructions. So it should open, set the value for the headers and close the file and save it when it is closing it. So let's see. Alright, so that's great. So now let's go ahead and check the file if the columns are added correctly. Now here I go inside this. I will open this, and here we have all the columns added correctly. So what I did is I opened the file, added the required columns, and I closed the file. The reason behind closing the file is that if I open the file with this option as unchecked, then I will not be able to use the name of the headers as a reference while performing any kind of calculations. Now, there are multiple ways of doing this. I'm following this way where I'm using the header names as a reference to perform the required calculations. So that's why I close the file. So the first thing I will do is, before I start performing anything on AHT or any kind of calculation, is I will open the file again. So in this particular box, so let me just close this, we are done with this. In this particular step, I will open the file again, and again let me just stick to that. So I can also simply copy and paste it. Now the only difference is here I will select sheet contains headers. So when it opens the file, I will be in a position to use the name of the column as a reference point for me to do any kind of data retrieval or any kind of calculation. In this case, we are going to apply some formulas. So I will be using the header names to apply those formulas. Okay. The other thing, there are multiple records involved for calculation, and I have to do, or I have to apply all the formulas for each row. And hence, as there are multiple rows available on which we need to do some action, we will be using the loop action, which will help us to go ahead and iterate through this entire data set where I have 10 records, and it will iterate one by one, and I will then perform the formulas, the calculation of HT one by one on each row. Okay, now here each row is going to be referred to as a record, and it will be stored in a record variable. A record variable will store all these values one by one, it will iterate through it. So the first time when it comes, it will pick up all these values and it will store it in a record variable. It's a kind of an array which is having multiple indexes depending on how many columns are there in a record, and depending on that it is going to store that particular set of values one at a time, one row at a time. And then I can either use the index number to refer to the particular value that I want to refer to, or I can use the name of the column. Yeah, in this case, if I have to calculate anything here, I will have to refer to the column name total talk time divided by total inbound calls. And when I loop it through the data set, by default it will pick one record at a time, and that will serve our purpose. So when I was performing the action manually, I opened the Excel sheet and I added the headers, and then I placed my cursor here and then applied the formula. So that's exactly what I want to do, however, in a loop. Now before I start the loop, I will place my cursor at the right position, and this is the command to do that. So what is the cursor position that I want to start off with? F2. So say F2, and it is for data. All right, so now I will start with the loop action. Now I will come out of the Excel data package for a moment, and I will start the loop action. What do I want to loop? I want to loop through. So this, as I mentioned earlier, there are multiple options available, multiple kind of data sets that you can iterate through. We are using the type Excel, so we will select this one. And we will refer to the same session, which is raw data. And then we'll have to assign the record to a record variable. And say, I will say record, or we say input record, and say create. And now for each record, what I'm supposed to do, I have to perform the calculations. Now remember, the cursor is at this position, and I will now straight away apply the formula. So I want to set the cell, set the current cell with the required formula, and I will go to Excel Advanced Package, and I will use the option of set cell. And the current cell, what do I need? I want to set it with the formula. This is my record variable, and I will put the name. I want this to be divided by this. And the session name is raw data. And once I insert the formula here, I go one cell to the right, and then I go one cell to the right, one cell to the, update the formulas, required formulas. Then I come down, I go back here, and so on and so forth. This is what I do manually. So what I will do after performing this action, I will go to the next cell, which is on the right hand side. So I will use this, go to cell option, so to the right, so then is raw data, and then perform the second formula. I will copy paste the same thing for the active cell. So this time now my cursor, after applying the formula here, is over here, and here I will say, instead of talk time, I will say hold time. So I'll copy this and paste it here, and then I will go one cell to the right again, I can simply copy paste these two actions. I will go one cell to the right, which is, I was here, I updated the formula, I moved on to the next cell, I updated the formula, I'm going to the next cell, I will have to update the formula again. Here, instead of whole time, it is going to be wrap time. Correct? Total wrap time. To be on the safer side, let me just go ahead and copy paste it instead of writing it manually. Yeah, it's the same. And then once I'm done with the wrap time, I will move on to the next cell to the right. Copy this. Again, go to the right. I've moved on to the right, and now I need to update the cell with the given values. Now, what I'm going to update it with, let me just check. I will set cell, set cell, set cell here. Will it work? Let us see. Will this thing work for us? So active cell, I will say equal to into record. I will HTT plus, can simply copy paste from here. HT plus average WT. Now once I'm done with this, I have to go down. I will move one cell down and then I'll go here. So in simple command, I would say one cell below, and I can simply say one cell to the left, one cell to the left. So it means I will go down like this, 1, 2, 3, I'll move here. And this should do it for all the records. Now let's see if this works or we face any issues. Let's go ahead and watch it. So I'm closing this file, so I'm removing this. Saving the file. This works fine. Alright, so there's an error. Now it's saying that there's a problem with some cell address. Now, why this is coming? This is because we opened the file with one session name that was raw data, which was having the headers. However, these values were not there. Like these values were available in that particular uh, session. These values were not available in that session, and we are using the same session name over here to go ahead and perform the calculation. Now this is what is causing the conflict, and this is what is causing the error. So what will be the solution to this? We will have to go ahead and first update these three values for each row, save the file, close the file, open the file again, and then loop it through once again to update the values for AHT. Alright, so let's do this quickly. I will make the required changes here. I do not need these Just a moment. I don't need to go right. I don't need to go this. I don't need to go here. I don't need to go here. There is a delete. So once I update the wrap time, I will move below, then go one left and left, and I will also not need to do this. I will remove this. So let's confirm this. So update this, move right, right, below, left, left. So I update this, move below, left, and there has to be another left. Alright, so let's see this works. I will remove everything here. Close this, and let's confirm again. So it will go on F2. It will update the top time, go to the right, and then update the whole time, go to the right, and then update the wrap time. Then again, it will go below, go one left, left, and then it will loop it for every record. So let's see if that works for us. There you go. We got this right. Now let's save the file and close the file once we are done with this particular activity. So I will not save it myself. I will make the bot save it. So once we are done with the loop action, I will close the file using this command. Say raw data. So now I will have to change the step here. I will say calculate the average TT, average HT, and average WT. And then between these steps, I will have to add one more step, which will actually calculate the AHT now. So calculate the AHT. Now what do I need to do? These steps, I will have to open it. After opening the file, what do I need to do? I need to position my cursor on I2. So I will go here and I will position my cursor on I2. Just like this, I will say Control C, Control V. Instead of F2, I would say I2. Again, I'm keeping the session name as is, raw data. Now once I do that, again I have to now loop it through each record and update the AHT value. So I will again drag and drop the loop command here. For each Excel row, the name of the session is raw data, and I can also reuse the variable input record. So what do I have to do? I have to set the cell value and then navigate. So set cell, this is the command. I will set the active cell to what? Now I will apply that AHT formula. So I'll say equal to input record, and by name I will say average TT plus, just to demonstrate, I'm demonstrating this, input record by name average hold time can also drag this a bit like this. Again, input record by name. Here the session name would be raw data. Save it. And once I update the record, I have to move down. So I would say go to cell, active cell, one cell below, raw data. So now this action should first calculate the talk time, hold time, wrap time, and then calculate the AHT. Now let's see if this works for us. So again, I will make this file as a normal file. And then run. There you go. So this is how it is calculating the AHT correctly. And that's the thing. So what do I need to do next? I need to close the file. So I can use the same command. So remember I'm using the same session name. So yeah, just to demonstrate, you can go here, go to the Excel advanced package, drag it here, raw data. Right, let me open the file and confirm if everything is. So yeah, this is how it is. I will remove this. And now I'll go here and run the bot again, see what happens. Wow, so I think the bot has done the task. It was very quick. There you go. So I have the AHT and everything is in place here. Because having the decimals here doesn't make a difference. Does it not make a difference? Well, for the use case that I'm trying to demonstrate, removing the decimals was not a requirement. I just wanted to calibrate the AHT. So AHT generally you round it off when you're doing any calculations. So yes, I have the calculation done. Now I want to move the file from the input folder to the output folder. How will I do that? So I want to move the file. So say move. Yes, say move. And is there anything related to moving the file? I don't see here. So what will I do? I will copy paste the file and delete the file then, right? So I will copy. Here we go. Copy a desktop file. Which file do I want to copy? I want to copy this file. Where do I want to copy? I want to copy it here. Overwrite the existing file. So save. Now let's see if it is copying it correctly. Now again, I will just bring this back to normal. Close it, and I will run it. So it's successful. So let's see if it has copied the file in the required folder. And here we have it. So once I copy it over here, the last step is to remove it from here because we have already processed it. So the command would be, what do you think? It's going to be delete. Delete the file. So here we go. Give the path. Save it. Again, I will go and open this file, bring it back to normal, save it. I will go in the output folder. I will remove that file. And let's see what happens now. All right, so let's see if, okay, there's a copy created. Let's see if the copy is correct. Obviously it is going to be correct. So that's the correct copy, and the file is gone from the input folder. So with that, we would like to wrap it up for you. We have successfully created an AHT calculator which goes into a particular folder, picks up the file, adds the required column, and then calculates the required parameters which are required for calculating the actual AHT. And that's what the bot does. And finally, after calculating the AHT, it is saving the file and moving the file into an output folder, and then removing the file from the input folder. So that's the thing. That's this bot. That's the bot doing the job of calculating AHT. Now, is this the best way to do it? Definitely not. This is not the best way to do it. This is a very, very, I'd say, rookie way of doing it. So I purposely wanted to demonstrate this because this is how you learn. So if you just apply your basic logic of how would you operate a manual task and then try to replicate that in your bot by using the relevant commands, you can do that. Like you saw in Excel, we have all kinds of commands available. You can actually move, like when you're doing it manually, you can move. You can also copy paste the formulas. You have the option to copy paste. You can do stuff. However, uh, it is really not advisable to directly replicate the manual effort via the bot. There are better ways of doing it. Uh, I will be demonstrating better way of doing this particular task in my next video. So the same task, however, it is done in a much better way. This also meets the requirement. It gets the job done, no doubt at all. But there are definitely better ways of doing this. And this is what I will be demonstrating in next video. Same use case, but how you can really make it more efficient and more reliable. So if you're not subscribed to my channel yet, I would request you to please subscribe to my channel, hit the bell icon, and please leave a comment if you like this video. What are your thoughts on such a use case? How you have you tried something like this? Please leave a comment. If you like the video, please leave a like and express yourself. And stay tuned. And like they say in Automation Anywhere, go be great and keep learning every day. Thank you.